Take to the wind and find the girl who makes reality a joy to me. There she lies sleeping, silent but keeping my world for me. No, don't wake her. Don't take her from the rest that she so needs. From slumber I won't break her. Please gently enter her dreams. I came to you a troubled troubadour, who sought the truth with youth and nothing more. Disinterested in love, but something up above displayed your sight to me, your light to me, and put me on the path of loving you, loving you, loving you. Oh, words, look what you've done, painted an ending, and I had just begun. She awoke enlightened, sad and frightened, and now she's gone. I broke with you a troubled troubadour, gave to you himself and nothing more. Now I look upon love and see faded mystery, and I feel in me a vacancy, a downcast, withered tramp for all to see, all to see, all to see. Oh no, this won't be me. I've lost a girl, but not my dignity. I will go on, I will move on. It's destiny. Words, a rising sun. My song is over, but I have just begun. I'll keep my eyes on the bright horizon and live the dream that's woven for me.
Welcome to the Ask Coach Judy Variety Show. That's why we say variety, because we do various things on the Ask Coach Judy Variety Show. And I'd like to welcome to all of my listening audience. I hope you're staying tuned because we have a dynamite show for you, because our guest, Dr. Brian Greer, will be doing even more than playing his guitar and singing his original song. And if you are new to our show, I'd like you to know that our show is about helping you to get the facts so you could act and achieve success professionally and personally. Guests from all walks of life, international experts, authors to business owners, and people just like you with a positive message have the opportunity to be a part of the Ask Coach Judy Variety Show. It also is part of a program that we call now the one-stop shop of programs offered for businesses and consumers just like you to take advantage of the various programs we have up on www.coachjudy.info. As a matter of fact, since we were on last, I am pleased to say that we are adding, and we already have, a new vendor member becoming a part of our vendor member directory of services. They are consistent of sponsors of our show, those who do promotions on our show, guests on our shows, and businesses of all sizes, including professionals who have integrity like my guest, business-to-business services and will be listed and have services of all types from Palm Beach Software in creating the vendor member directory services program, which is being created by the Palm Beach Software of Boynton Beach. So if you are interested in getting involved, especially as a business, as a guest, you want exposure, then please go to the website and click contact so we can get talking and we can get you a part of the show and part of the directory, because as I say, as a one-stop shop and as services are needed of all types, we are creating that program for you. The talk show is just one of the many programs that we have created to bring you the knowledge and the resources for you could achieve your goals personally and professionally. And I also want to let you know, to my listening audience, there's been a slight change. I've become more than just Coach Judy, divorce and single parent expert for single parents through the National Single Parent Resource Center. I am now also your cognitive trainer for the brain. I help silence that negative chatter that stands between you and what you want to achieve professionally and professionally and personally. So if you want to get into the zone, enjoy the guests and the knowledge that's being shared on the show, as we will help you zone in to get you into the zone. So if you want more information and get into the zone and achieve your success and know more about it, please go to the website at www.coachjudy.info for the coaching and click on the talk show tab for the show. And if you want to be a vendor member, click on our vendor page. As again, I want to re-emphasize, we are becoming your one-stop shop of information and resources. So remember, Coach Judy is here. We care about you. And because there is such a lack of understanding of what communication is, and speaking with my friend, Dr. Brian Greer, psychiatrist, who has also appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and also was involved with the Renfrew, I believe, treatment center. I'm going to introduce you so he can share with you now more about himself, and here are some other things that will make you laugh before we get into what is or what gets in the way of healthy communication. So welcome, Dr. Brian Greer. It's a pleasure to have you on the phone. I've enjoyed your conversations. You've motivated me. You've put me up on an adrenaline rush sometimes when I really needed it. So you've been an asset to my life already, and I'm excited for you being an asset to our listeners.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm excited to be here.
Well, it's great to have you. Could you share with the listener audience a little bit about your background in becoming a psychiatrist, a few things that you have done in the community so people know that you know what you're talking about?
I went to medical school at Jackson Hospital, University of Miami School of Medicine. I got my MD degree. I did 3 years of adult psychiatry at Jackson Hospital. Then I did a 2-year fellowship in child and adolescent psychiatry. The final year of my training, I was selected chief fellow, and I won the Clinical Scholar Award for research that I did in traumatized children. I went on to become the medical director of the Renfrew Center, which is an all-women's treatment center for eating disorders. I was medical director of Karen Renaissance Addiction Treatment Center, and I had my own private practice in Boca Raton for about 20 years. It was called the Center for Family Development, where we took a family approach to all mental illness, including ADHD and bipolar disorder and anxiety disorders. And now my passion really is to I've reinvented myself. I'm here in Spring Hill, Florida, and I'm starting a new private practice that's nutritionally oriented. I believe in helping people with their lifestyle, with we are what we eat and we are what we think. and helping people with nutritional interventions, sometimes medication, but also integrating comedy and music and entertainment into helping people work on themselves and lighten up. You know, life is too serious to be taken too seriously.
Well, I agree with you because people are very serious. They're angry, they're resentful, they're confused, they're scared, and they don't really know how to deal with it if they haven't had the guidance, the training that you have had, number one, or had the life experience that I've had that's led me into becoming a coach and an expert for divorce and single parent issues because I've walked the talk and having worked with lawyers, having to work with therapists on my case, and then on a professional level, it made all the difference in my life. And also found that what we're talking about today, that part of the problem in life today is that people don't really know how to communicate or what is healthy communication. But what we're going to do right now is that I know you have some other special talents that we're going to share on the show. And it also reflects about communication. So will you please go into your act that will get our listening audience going and get them laughing?
Well, it all goes together. Therapy and counseling and talk, it's all communication. And whether it's people laughing is very healing. So I would say something like, Judy, 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 can I ask you a question, please? It's sort of a cheap character. Could I ask you a question, Judy?
I will give you my permission.
Were your parents bakers?
Bakers? No. They weren't bakers.
You know why I ask?
Why?
Because you're a cutie pie.
Well, thank you, Dr. Greer. I appreciate that.
Cutie pie, get it? Baker's pie.
Oh, you're right. I missed it. I know I'm a little slow sometimes, but I get it in the end.
Well, see, what gets in the way of effective communication sometimes is when we have a lot on our mind. You know, people need to be listened to. And what happens when there's pressure, when there's stress, is someone is talking to you and you're thinking about what you're going to next say. And that takes you away from just being in the moment and listening. Okay, so what's funny about psychiatry? The standard psychiatry jokes are a guy walks in with a psychiatrist and says, Doc, nobody pays attention to me. The doctor says, next.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know. And I have to tell you, there are some that just don't really listen to you either when you're in front of them. They don't really listen because they're into their zone of their own mind. And if you don't say what they expect you to say or like what you say, they may even say to you, I don't want to hear your excuses.
You know, yeah, people say, and some people, when they find out I'm a psychiatrist, they go, well, this is like the shtick that some psychiatrists say. How do you listen all day to people's problems? How do you do it? How do you listen to people all day?
Yeah, how do you? I don't know. I can't imagine.
Who listens? I just.
Well, I have
sometimes with therapists, you know, the person's been talking for like 10 minutes, and then the therapist realizes that they haven't even been paying attention. So they just interrupt and say, and that must have been very difficult for you. Right?
Well, I apologize. We got some unexpected music because the video we were doing on the one site actually stopped. So I apologize. I'm switching cameras. And I want to go back to, because you said something that people don't with listening. I have to tell you a story. I'll never forget. I had parents who always felt every time they saw me, they had to criticize me. They had to find fault. You know, it didn't matter what it is. So I said, well, how am I going to deal with this? I'm so tired of listening to it. I'm not going to let them get the best of me. So I came up with this line. And so my mom said to me, Judy, whatever it was, can't you do it better this way? I said, all right, Mom. I said, I want you to know something. Whatever you say just goes in one ear and out the other. So talk away, because I ain't listening.
Well, for instance, my secretary paged me and said, Dr. Greer, there's somebody out here in the waiting room who thinks they're invisible. So I said, tell him I can't see him right now.
I love it. I love it. I love the play on words.
Well, you know, I got a new technique. You know, I just came up with this an hour ago. You know
Yeah.
how people say they have and this is something I actually might do in my practice. Everybody says I have a bucket list. A bucket list is, something you put in a bucket, these things that one day you want to do and you want to accomplish.
Uh-huh.
Of course, the first thing on your bucket list should always be getting a bucket. You need
Get
to
a
get
bucket.
right. But what I came up with a technique of, instead of a bucket list, how about a garbage can list?
A garbage can list.
It's, instead of things that you want to put in your bucket list to do one day, you need to
Uh-huh.
have a list of things that you want to dispel with, that you want to get rid of, that you want to let go of.
Uh-huh.
People, whether it's a person in their life, whether it's an issue, whether it's a goal, whether it's a worry, whether it's an idea, we have to sometimes let go of things and detach from things. So
Right.
it's not just a bucket list of things that I want in my life, but we needed to have a garbage can list we want to put in the garbage can.
Right. It's like garbage in, garbage out.
Right. There's one of the most powerful prayers, one of the most powerful affirmations in the world of mental health and spirituality is the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept those things I cannot change, the courage to change those things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So we hold on sometimes, we worry about, we try to change things that we have no control over. And it's a waste of time, it's a waste of effort. The political environment now, the things, the chaos, the issues, if it's something that we have no influence over, we must let it go. If I want to change someone and have them be a certain way, I need to look at myself. If I think somebody in my life needs to lose weight, all I can do is me look at myself and my health and maybe get healthier and maybe be an inspiration to them, to that other person, and maybe they'll catch on. But I don't have any control over anybody else.
I'm so glad you said that, because people don't realize the only person you have control over is yourself, and you have the choice to remove yourself from situations regardless of what it is if it's not right for you.
Right. Now, I'll give your viewers a gift.
Okay.
Your audience, I'll give you, if you have a pen and paper, this is worth the price of the show. This is worth the price of admission. There is a version of the Serenity Prayer, which is even more powerful and valuable than the original Serenity Prayer. And that is, it's actually used in the adult children of alcoholics or adult children of dysfunctional families group. And that is, God grant me the serenity to accept the people I cannot change, the courage to change the one that I can, and the wisdom to know that it's me. I am the only person that I can change.
And that is so good. I'm glad you're bringing that out, because especially in relationships, people go in and they think, well, I will change that person, or I can help him make that change. And unless you've discussed it, it could be what just destroys the relationship.
And yes, and a very interesting and important thing about what you're saying is that, and this is where the world of psychotherapy, psychiatry comes in, is that sometimes we go into a relationship thinking we need to change the person, thinking we need to help the person, but we are completely unaware of that. It's unconscious. Psychotherapy deals with unconscious issues. And what people don't realize is that I don't know anything. I don't know what I don't know. I might fall in love with someone and someone asks me, well, what do you love about them? Oh, they're beautiful and they're great and they're perfect for me. Not knowing that unconsciously there's some issues related to one of my parents that they remind me of. And my unconscious mind is sending me into that relationship to master some issue, some unresolved issue. And this happens at a deep unconscious level.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because of the fact that being married twice and making the choice to do the divorce twice, I had to go back and analyze why didn't the second marriage work? And I realized I saw all the things that were different, but I didn't see the similarities that were critical to having a healthy, long-lasting relationship, because we're not aware of it until we start thinking or somebody points that out to us. And I think it's an important point for us to address a little bit, is like our perceptions and what we're seeing versus what is really reality that's not based on emotions, but what is clearly obvious. We're going to make the same mistakes unless you learn why you are attracted to that particular type of person, so you don't do it a second or third time.
Right. This is why, I mean, I'm not a salesperson for therapy, but this is why something like counseling or therapy or life coaching is so important, as is relationship with friends and people who can really tell us the truth. Because Judy, we have two parts of ourselves. We have a part of ourselves that we know that other people don't know, that we kind of keep hidden. Even more important, we have a part of us that other people see that we don't see. And most people will not reveal that to us. Good friends, a good friend, my definition of a good friend is someone who cares more about my well-being than my feelings. If I need somebody to tell me something and give me honest feedback that they know I won't want to hear, that is going to help me. So this happens, I think, a lot. People are, let's say somebody is in a relationship, their friends are all saying it's not a good person for them, but everybody walks on eggshells around them, and that ends up haunting. The truth always emerges. Okay.
It does. It really does. And I want to add something to you, because I have said, I find myself recently saying certain things, because it's like, I'll say to people, what did you think? Oh, it's nice. It was good. I said, really, what I want, I'd rather hear the negative things that wasn't great, so I can learn and improve upon it. Because if everybody says, oh, it's nice, it's good, whatever, you can't improve what you don't know.
And the very good, it's good sometimes to have these little stories or metaphors to remind us of some of these very deep issues. But the emperor's new clothes, the emperor's new coat, very briefly, that's a story where there's an emperor, the emperor of a kingdom, and he's at the tailor's, and the tailor wants to kind of play a joke on him. And he says, sir, this is a wonderful coat here. Here, put on this coat, and people will love it. And it's an invisible coat. It's nothing. So he's naked. He puts on this coat into the kingdom. And everyone is so revering him and says, oh, sir, that's such a beautiful coat. Yes. Do you like my coat? Oh, yes, I love your coat. It's a beautiful coat, sir. And he's going on all day. Finally, this little kid comes up to him and says, you're naked. And he goes, oh, my God. And he realizes that all those people all day were just not being honest with him. And he made a fool of himself. You can walk around the day and have like a piece of chicken in between your teeth or something, and everybody is, looking at you a little funny. But finally, someone says, "Hey, you got something between your teeth." Oh, thank you. Well, why didn't people tell me? And most of the problems that we walk around with, some of the problems we walk around with, are a lot more significant than a piece of chicken between our teeth.
Well, that is true. What can you share with our listeners, maybe in a joking way or something, is that, and I've seen it among friends, especially a close friend that I had, we're now on a little bit on the distant side, is why can't people really be honest with you and share, especially when you're friends? Why can't they be?
You talking to me?
Yep. You're the psychiatrist.
If you have a piece of chicken between your teeth, it is, for that's not a small thing. What comes to mind is people don't like to be honest with it. I think people are afraid of angering somebody. People are afraid. So many people walk around, they want to be liked. People are afraid of hurting someone's feelings. People are afraid that maybe the person's not going to like them. The truth is, though, and this is one of the things that took me a long time to learn, it's more important to be respected than to be liked.
Right.
I spent a lot of time worrying, does this person like me? Does that person like me? Giving away my report card to other people. Here, fill out this report card. Tell me how I'm doing. But the thing is, it's much more important to be respected than to be liked.
I agree with you because I have this one friend, as a matter of fact, she is in the mental health field. And she's going through some really difficult things. But then I found when she would call me, she was like going on the attack of me. And it's like, I knew I'm not going to take that in a conversation. She's a really good friend. So then I had to actually text her but do it in a way. This was something that I get into is like, how do you communicate to the person without being intentionally trying to hurt them? And there's a technique to how you actually speak so that you can point these things out to the other person where you're not attacking them and they don't take it as an attack.
That is such a good point. It's really how you frame things. And, you know, you can say something like, you don't have to say, I really think that you have a self-esteem problem. You can say something like, you know, I really like the way that you do X, Y, and Z, and I think that you're a really good person. You might want to think.
Sorry about the background.
You might want to think about looking at your self-esteem. You know, and I'm just making this up as I go along.
But that's true though, because she's a person who has so little self-esteem and confidence and is taken advantage of. This is just all part of her pathology.
You see, here's the catch-22. I mean, for people who know what that is, for here is the paradox.
Life is I have to say, life is a catch-22.
Here's a paradox, and a paradox is not a pediatrician and a surgeon standing next to each other. That's a paradox also. Get it? A paradox.
Yeah, paradox.
The paradox is that in order to help someone feel better about themselves, you might have to give them some negative, some carefrontation, some feedback about how they're coming across, something they're not aware of. Judy, 90% of therapy, 90% of self-improvement is becoming more aware. But in the initial stages, if you're going to help somebody become more aware of something about themselves, it might sting a little bit when they first hear it.
Right.
They're going to get defensive. Especially, it's a paradox, because if you have a self-esteem problem, you're going to get upset at hearing that you have a self-esteem problem, because you're too fixated on yourself. So somebody who thinks they're a very good, nice person, I don't understand. I do things for people, and I do this for them, and I do this for them, and I give, and I give, and I give, and people aren't appreciative. Well, what they don't realize is they think they're a very giving person, but many of those kind of people are actually very selfish and self-absorbed, because they're doing it to get a response from the person.
Right.
They're doing it to try to manipulate the person's feelings.
I just want to interrupt for a minute. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. It's like they're like feeling sorry for themselves. That's what they want you to really feel for them. Because I know for me, because of my knowledge that I've gained through firsthand living it, is that I actually, with her and being delicate with her, it's like I actually texted back. I said, I really would appreciate it that I not hear the anger that is going on, rather than saying, you and your anger, I always got to hear it. I can't do it anymore. It was like, I value you, but the anger that's coming through is something I cannot handle. When you're not angry, please call me. So I wasn't cutting her off.
Exactly.
I was giving her a point of reference and giving her time to give thought to it.
Right. Yeah. And another good technique is to do something like, I really love it when you're happy, joyous, and free. I love it when you're like that. When you're the angry self, it's not so good. As a matter of fact, I'm really not a fan of yours when you're angry. So when you're happy, joyous, and free, please call me back. Thank you. You set a limit. You set a limit, because the truth is, I can't stand this anger. I know a few people like that too. And I'm somebody who, it says in the famous poem Desiderata, avoid loud and aggressive people. They are vexations to the spirit. But so there are people who just, they seem angry all the time. One of the
Right.
things I wanted to say, I'll never forget I had a roommate who, I'll use John, I'll use John, okay?
Okay.
John, after a while, I realized, John, do you realize that you blame people for every single thing you do? You are always blaming. His response was, well, that's your fault. I get that from you. And he was serious. He didn't even realize what he was saying. The reason I blame everybody is because of you. It's your fault. One of the things one of the most important things we need to do in our life is accept responsibility. We have to get rid of blame and excuses. Blame and excuses. They just don't work. It's going back to that serenity prayer. We only have control over ourselves. If we
Right.
see something in someone else that that annoys us, that we want to change about them, look at ourselves. Maybe there's a part of me that frustrates me, that maybe I get annoyed. Maybe I see somebody who's self-absorbed, and it annoys me that they're self-absorbed. The only thing I can do is look at my own level of self-absorption and connect out and be more outward.
It's like being able to take that initiative and really speak up and speak from a place of care, not from a place of anger or resentment or frustration with them.
Right. And before I forget, I have this, checking my notes here. I have this written down. Really. See, my technique, I have a new technique in therapy. It's the you think you got problems technique. I'll say to a patient will say all these things, and I'll say, so what should I do, doctor? I'll say, oh, you think you got problems? Let me my problems. And then before the session's over, they hear so much, oh, at least I'm not you, doctor. Now I'm kidding, sort of, but
no, I got you. I really understand what you were saying. I mean, and this is what, and people don't realize is that all of the things that we're talking about is really communication. What you say, what you present yourself, the tone, the wording itself, all of these things are forms of communication, and what you see from that person is also a form of communication.
I think there's a few main things that get in the way of effective communication. You know, we talked about listening. I think that there's imagined constraints in time. Everybody these days is in a rush. You know, we're driving and somebody passes us and shoots us a bird because we're going too slow. Then you end up at the same red light. You know, I mean, so when you're listening to somebody and you think you're worried about, you got to be somewhere else, or what am I going to do later in the day? And you start worrying and thinking, that takes you away from the moment and really listening. The only way we can really fully listen to someone is to be fully present in the moment. Focus on the visual in front of you. Focus on the auditory, the listening, the sound of my voice. See what you see, hear what you hear, feel the clothes on your body, feel where you're sitting. Put it all together and just be in the moment. And that's when you can listen. You'll be listened to if you listen to the other person.
Exactly. And that is what's so important, because people are always like eager. They want to jump in. I see that with a lot of people. And I know sometimes I do it myself. It's like you want to get something out and you want to make sure you don't forget. And I love to have you do something that I think is really important, because there's so many people out there, especially people don't realize, and they get scared, is like they're so busy that they start forgetting and they can't remember for the moment. And I know people my age and older say, oh, it's a senior moment. So can you say and explain about the memory aspect of communication? And I know you've got some good jokes that go with remembering and memory.
I've got a really good joke about memory, but I forgot it. I can't remember.
You forgot it.
No, I'm just kidding. All right, so Irving is talking. Irving is talking to Harry, and Irving says, "Oh, Harry, we had such a great dinner last night. We went to this restaurant. It was so amazing. The food was great. The service was great. It was the best restaurant I've ever been to." So Harry says, "Oh, what's the name of the restaurant?" And Irving goes, Um, what's that flower? It's got a long green stem. It's got thorns. It's red on the top. And Harry says, "A rose?" He says, "Yes, rose, rose, rose." What was the name of that restaurant we went to last night?
I mean, that's a good one because it is. Everybody is forgetting today with so much going on.
There's three kinds of memory. Okay, there's long-term memory. You see, some people, you can have a phenomenal long-term memory and remember childhood things. What starts to go in dementia and Alzheimer's disease, God forbid, is short-term memory. That's the past 5 minutes. That's, you walk into the kitchen and you can't remember what you're there for.
We do that all the time at our age.
I know. Well, actually, yeah. So there's there's normal memory decline with age. I mean, there's normal. It's normal to have some memory decline. And by the way, since I said I'm nutritionally oriented, there are some nutritional supplements that really help with memory. One of them is called, omega-3 fatty acids. Fish oil is very important. Decreasing cholesterol, decreasing the fat in the diet is very important. Increasing fiber, but there are some things that can help with memory. But
well, I got to ask you a question then, okay?
What's that?
Then I got to ask you a question. You see on TV, and you see these ads on the internet, and everybody's trying to sell you something about helping you improve your memory. I don't want to say any brand names, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about when you watch TV. Are they really any good? Is it just a pitch to get you to buy something, or is there merit in what they are selling that can help the brain?
Well, I'll answer that question in a second, but first I would like to tell you that I have this product right here. This is the most amazing memory improver. It's called Dr. Greer's Memory Coffee. No. I don't know. Look,
but it helps.
A lot of these infomercial things. I mean, in order to go on TV and sell a product, it has to be approved in some ways. But I think it's important to realize that a lot of these things that they sell on infomercials and everything, they're spending a lot of money with marketing. A lot of their efforts and a lot of the money and a lot of the energy is going into getting the word out. Exactly. And the question is, how valid, how evidence-based are the actual products? But I don't know that there's something with this jellyfish. There's a product that's from jellyfish. Yeah, it's very interesting. I wonder, how did they discover that something from jellyfish improves memory? It's like you're lying on the beach and it's like, hey, Sid, bring that jellyfish over here because something tells me that if I eat this jellyfish, my memory's going to improve. I don't know why, but let's see. And then lo and behold, it works.
But do you think that's more a somatic type of thing because they want it to, and they're like thinking it is because of that feeling of placebo versus non-placebo?
Yeah, the placebo. That's a very good point. Anything that we believe, it's really all what my theme is here is, we have control over our thinking, we have control over our belief. What we believe becomes real. We have a lot of control and ability to change the way we perceive things. Right. If I'm taking a nutritional supplement, or if I'm taking a medication even, and I really trust the doctor, I really trust the person that is selling it to me or is prescribing, and as I take it into my body, it's going to be a positive energy, and that is going to help produce the real positive effect.
Right, because you're getting because I don't know how many people know this, but the endorphins, the adrenaline, all of these things help, I think, wakes up the brain, so you are able to think a little bit easier, remember things better in the moment, not on the long term, but in that period of time after drinking, say, coffee or whatever it may be.
Yeah, the interesting story that popped in my mind about belief and about self-fulfilling prophecy is there was a teacher in a school, and she was interested in her students, and she wanted to know what their IQ level was. She wanted to know how smart they really are. So she was given this file, and she looked at the file, and every student there was a number, and she was amazed at how high in IQ, how intelligent these students were. And she changed the way she taught. She started teaching at a very higher level and really treating these students like they were really brilliant students. And the students responded. The students started learning at a higher level. Well, a few months later, the principal calls her in the office and says, "You know, your students are really doing really well. Like, what changed? What did you do?" She says, "Well, you know, I saw this file here, and I saw their IQs, that I was underselling them. They're very like bright, brilliant students." And he looks at it, he says, "This isn't their IQs. This is their locker numbers." Now that really happened. That's not a joke. Once the teacher really started believing and started perceiving these students as high level, that's the way they responded. And that applies to parents and children, that applies to friends. If you see the person at a high level and really have your higher self seeing their higher self, that's going to become a reality. We create reality through awareness, through our awareness.
And I'm glad you brought up the word awareness, because that's part of what our show and the programs we're doing, and the motto, get the facts, act, and achieve success. It's like being aware. It's like knowing what you need to know so that you can go out and achieve whatever it may be, and also not be afraid to reach out to get the resources, the professionals, and the different people that really help you achieve what you want to, but as a team, and everybody wins.
I think one word that we haven't mentioned, which really gets in the way of effective communication,
okay,
is all the different forms of fear. You know, I'm afraid that I'm going to be late to this appointment. I'm afraid that if I tell this person, he's not going to like me. It's all these forms of fear, which most of what we are afraid of doesn't come true. We have to replace fear with faith. We have to replace fear with love.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, I also feel like fear, you've got to get the facts. I mean, it's like right now it's okay, I got to get a COVID test because I got a sore throat. And if it wasn't for COVID, you would think nothing of it. But because of COVID, your mind is like thinking, oh, you have to like pray and hope, and that doing all the positive things, that it's not going to happen, or it's not going to be.
I don't know. Somebody told this little ditty poem and said, if we set the fire in us, and if we inspire us, there's no virus that can hurt us. Yeah, we have to get the facts and do what you can, but it's that serenity prayer again. Do what you
what?
The other thing I'll throw in here is that book, The Four Agreements. I mean, millions of dollars were made with this amazing list of just 4 things to live your life by. And they really are true. And they're probably originally from the Bible, but be impeccable with your word. You know, say what you do, say what to yourself, be true, to other people, be true. Cherish your word and cherish your words. Always do your best. Take nothing personally, and don't assume anything.
That is really great information for our listeners to have, because people do get caught up in so many different issues and direction, and that they're like, just like their head and their mind is just spinning around and around. They don't know how to get off.
Taking things personally is such a big thing. It's very hard. But there are sometimes people are responding to us. People might be in a bad mood at the grocery store, at the bank, and they have a certain facial expression, and you think, is this me? What am I doing something wrong? It's got nothing to do with you. But the reason I thought of that is because you're talking about this COVID virus stuff and what we can do. The agreement, always do your best. All you can do is do your best. I mean, if you need to get a test, then get a test. I mean, look, I'm not going to get into the politics of this. There's some controversy about whether the tests are accurate. I mean, who knows? I mean, the one thing I'll say about the COVID situation is I think the good news, the optimistic thing to remember, is there's a lot of steps, there's a lot of levels between acquiring the virus and being dead in a coffin.
Exactly.
There's a lot of space between. People are saying the virus, oh, you're going to die, you're going to die, you're going to die. I mean, the vast majority of people who get the virus don't pass away, thank God. But we have to be careful. We have to control those things that we actually can control. And everybody gets to walk around feeling like a surgeon. I think it's great, I always wanted to be, we wear masks all day, so it's great. I always wanted to be a surgeon. So I mean, I joke sometimes. I go into like a grocery store or something. I don't know. There's a lot of surgeons as customers. It's amazing. Is there a surgery convention or something? Everybody's in a mask. I sometimes pretend like I don't know what's going on because it does sometimes feel like a Twilight Zone episode.
I can imagine. I have to tell you, I love to hear about your white coat story. You've got a great white coat because it's all about perception.
The great white coat. That's very funny. That's what I'll tell the story, the great white coat. But this really did happen. And this actually has to do with ego and pride also. My third year of medical school, they gave us the white coats, right. So really the doctor coat. So I was so excited. And of course, I only went to medical school to please my father anyway. But no, that's not true. So third year medical school, they give us our white coats. And I'm wearing the white coat. And my wife picks me up and we go to Publix. She has to do some shopping. And I say to myself, I'm a doctor. I'm going to wear this coat.
You're proud.
Right. So I go into Publix. We're standing in the produce department and she's getting some fruits and vegetables. And I'm standing there, like it's a Superman coat, doctor. So I'm standing there with my white coat and this guy comes up to me holding a tomato. He goes, "Hey, bub, you got any more tomatoes? These are lousy. I don't like the way these look." And suddenly I realized, oh my God, the white coat has other meanings. In the context of wearing it at Publix, maybe I should have had my stethoscope around me or something. But suddenly my pride, my ego was shot down. I'm realizing God is showing me a lesson here about humility. It's that you walk in and you want everyone to see you're a doctor. Well, some people might think you're a butcher or you work in the produce department. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'll never forget that.
Again, it's always about perception or what you are projecting or showing by what you wear, and that is a form of communication. A lot of people don't even stop to think about it. It's like people will go, like, for example, I did a show, and I didn't think to say, well, I'd like you to dress professionally because we are a professional show. And so he comes on the show, and he's got like a white T-shirt on. And I'm like, oh, my God, I should have said something, but I figured he would recognize and know that if you're going to be in front of people, you just don't wear a plain old, everyday T-shirt. Because people don't understand is that how you dress also is a reflective communication about who you are.
Well, I think if we think about respect, the whole thing about how we dress, I mean, part of it is we dress professionally to project ourselves, but also we dress nice and we dress professionally because it shows that we're concerned about other people. We're concerned about not just so much how we're perceived, but making somebody else feel like they're worthy of the best me that I can be. I mean, the doctors these days, it's not like years and years ago. I don't know what the average age of our audience is, but the doctor was dressed in a suit and had his doctor bag, and the nurse. Remember the nurse, the typical nurse was wearing her nurse outfit and a nice hat, and it was like that's the doctor and the nurse. Well, it's not because they're showing off and they think they're all that, or they think they're great. It's because they take what they do seriously, and maybe there'll be a placebo effect on their patients. If their patients see that they're nicely dressed and well groomed and they take care of themselves, that's going to put them at ease that, oh, I'm going to listen to this person because they seem to know what they're talking about, and they respect the fact that I'm a patient and they're happy to see me. And there are a lot of people who dress very casually, and I think it's a balance. I think you want to make people feel comfortable and you want to put people at ease and you don't want to wear a tuxedo,
Well, I think it has to do also the setting that you're in or the setting that you're going to. It has a major factor to it as well.
Yeah, but there's also the don't judge a book by its cover factor. I mean, I think that we've become a society. Well, let's just talk at the personal level. It's very, very healthy to let go of judgment and to see everybody as a shining, glowing human being, a child of God. Nobody is better than anybody else. People
Right.
might have different skills, might have different experience, might have different training. It doesn't make them better. It's not a matter of better and worse. It's a matter of different.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people will say things, and I say to people, and even with the coaching and when I'm out or presenting, whatever it may be, I always let people know I'm just like you. I took a bad situation, instead of drowning in my sorrows and losses, I took advantage of the knowledge that I was learning, and instead of letting it just go by the wayside because it was like unbelievable. It's like, I have to put that out there. I have to give it to others, because I don't want to see them to go through the heartaches that you go through, as well as the complications that come from it with your children when you're talking about, like, with single parents, and the lifetime damage that you can do. So I'm like, no, I have to bring it forward. I can't sit back. And actually, what it did for me, and it's for other people, if you try something different or you really enjoy something, go do it. Don't let other people say you can't do it. Don't let their negative chatter stop you from going and doing what you believe in.
But right, that's what I'm saying. It's the fear. It's that, and I work with people with addiction. When you get into the 12-step program, the first step is we admitted we were powerless over alcohol or drugs, and our life has become unmanageable. Well, the whole process is change. The person that you are is going to drink again.
Exactly.
You have the disease of alcoholism. So the thing is, and this is the ironic thing, alcoholics in particular, and there are a lot of people that there's two things that they can't stand.
What's that?
Number one is the way they are presently, and number two is to change.
Well, then what gets
that's the irony. In order to be different, in order to recover, in order to grow, we have to take risks. We have no pain, no gain. We have to change, but it is scary to change.
So then basically it's like, you're afraid of the other side of it.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't really seem to make sense, but a person stays in their comfort zone. I actually have a great little story about the comfort zone. Okay. There's a street person, a hobo, on his hands and knees at 3 a.m, and he's circling the periphery of a street lamp. There's a circle of light, and he's in that circle of light, and he's on his hands and knees looking, and he's a little tipsy, and a police officer comes by and says, "What are you doing?" And he says, "I'm looking for my keys." He says, "Okay, well, where did you lose them? Maybe I can help you." He says, "Well, I lost them about a block over. You see there in the dark over there, that block away? I lost them down there." He says, "Well, if you drop your keys there, why are you looking here?" He says, "Well, the light's better here. I can see." You see, and that's what we do. We stay in the light. We stay in the comfort zone. We stay where we're comfortable to look for the answer, but that might not be where the answer is. We have to venture into the uncomfortable dark, where the keys really are, where the truth really is. But it might be a little bit of a dangerous trip. It might be a little bit, we have to see. It's not easy. Nothing that's valuable comes easy.
I mean, Dr. Greer, I'm so glad you said that, because people don't realize some of the different things that we're saying and pointing out, that it really goes into the subliminal mind or the unconscious mind that also holds you back.
Yeah, and see, the thing is, the famous metaphor is of an iceberg. The tip of the iceberg that's on top, over the line of the ocean. There's just that little iceberg, the part that's the Titanic hit.
Right.
That's the conscious mind. That's the part of the mind that we're aware of, is that tip of the iceberg. Underneath the sea is this huge mass, is this huge structure. That's really a lot of what influences us, what guides us, what gives us thoughts and feelings and perceptions, but we are completely unaware. It's submerged. And that's where, psychotherapy, something like psychotherapy, can reveal what is unconscious. A lot of people don't realize these days there's counseling where, you know, people like set goals and kind of like, what are you doing? And number one, number two, number three, are you doing this? Are you doing that? But that's at a different level than psychotherapy, which really deals with unconscious conflicts, unresolved childhood issues, which are
Okay, I apologize for interrupting. I'm glad you brought that up. So I want to clarify it for our listeners. Can you then go into what's the difference between psychiatry, a psychologist, mental health, life coaching, so people can know that when you're choosing, you need to go to the right type of professional for your situation?
Well, I'm glad you asked me that.
All right, well, we got about 4 minutes left. So.
It's very simple. Well, psychiatry is a medical specialty. You know, we're medical doctors. What a lot of people don't realize is that we also get training in psychology and psychotherapy if we're interested. I mean, I did a lot of training in therapy in addition to the medication and the biological aspects of the brain. Psychology is they go to college, they go to graduate school, they study psychology, they study thoughts, feelings, and actions and different theories of behavior. And so they're trained in psychological testing, they're trained in psychotherapy. They don't prescribe medications. And then there's counselors who really, the counselors don't really get a lot of training in the unconscious mind and unconscious conflicts. It's more sort of surface. It's more like goals, goal setting, and you know, sort of like I guess life coaching, for instance, is kind of a goal setting also. I'm not really sure. Counseling and life coaching, I'm not really sure what the difference is there.
Okay, there are a lot of people out there, and people get confused. You've got the social worker, and you got a mental health counselor, and you've got life coaching, which is really about giving you the tools and the knowledge. And then if for some reason a client of mine doesn't get it gets them angry, gets them frustrated, or they come in with all this anger and they can't process, then I know right away they're a client that really needs psychological help in order to process and do the tools and information that we're doing as a life coach. But I was curious between the mental health and social work aspect of it as well. So what you're saying, if I'm understanding clearly, is that they don't get to the subconscious mind in the mental is a mental counselor or a social worker.
That's right. They deal more with the surface, with the real life issues. They don't get into that deeper level that is sometimes very relevant for some people. I mean, you know, it's different levels. I mean, you know, it's sort of like well. I'm always very conscious about not stepping on people's toes, but I just think that I think it's unfortunate that the art of real depth psychotherapy is being lost, and it's because of economic reasons. It's because, you know, the master's level therapists are more affordable, and a psychologist, a PhD or a PsyD may be more expensive, but the thing is, you get what you pay for sometimes. And don't get me wrong, there's wonderful LMHCs, licensed mental health counselors, LCSWs, licensed clinical social workers, and they do get training in therapy. I just think I'm a little biased because I think that the MD psychiatrist who is psychotherapy trained and informed gets things at a deeper level, and which is relevant to some people. I mean, just a very brief example, marital therapy. I really love marital therapy, and I love doing marital therapy. A lot of people say, "What, MD psychiatrist? Don't you just write prescriptions? I mean, you do therapy." But what, for instance, there's something called imago therapy, where a person marries an imago. They marry a projection of some unresolved issues that they have towards, let's say, their same-sex parent. You know, there's some people, like I think in some ways I actually married a version of my father, unconsciously, being completely unaware of that. So sometimes in a marital conflict, you can be in an office and say, well, he does this and she does this, and I don't like when he does it. Okay, well, why don't we make a contract? John, you won't do that. Mary, you won't do that. Well, okay, that might be well and good, but they're missing the point of what really unconsciously, deeply is going on with that Mary is projecting issues from her unresolved issues about her mother onto John. And she's got to realize that and realize she's not just reacting to the actual person. She's reacting to her own inner constructs.
Well, I am so glad to have you on the show today. You have shared such phenomenal information. I know it might have been a little heavy or an awful lot. We did talk about an awful lot today. So I want to let our audience know that if they'd like to watch it again or listen to it again, they can go to my YouTube channel under Coach Judy. Also, the show runs on another radio station called Solo Media, and that information is up on my website at coachjudy.info. And I really think that it's a show that you're going to want to, number one, listen again, because there was so much detailed information that we shared. But also I ask, please share and pass this show over to others that you know who could benefit in understanding communication, especially somebody that you love and care about, and you know that they're not really communicating well. This way you're saying, I've got some great information for you. I listened to it. It helped me. I learned a lot. It's something that everybody should be listening to. And that way you are saying something positive and communicating to somebody who really needs it without saying, you need this help. You know, you've got to listen to it. Otherwise, we're going to have a problem.
Do you think I convinced them that I'm really a psychiatrist? Because I'm actually a stand-up comedian. I don't know.
I know you're a stand-up comedian. We were gonna do more comedian work, but we got caught up.
You believe I'm a psychiatrist?
Oh, I know.
I didn't get a chance to tell my favorite joke, though.
I know. Well, what it is, we're gonna have you back, but I have to say to our listeners, if you know of businesses, whether they're small, large, or international, to bring Brian and other great people back to our show or new people on our show, I ask that you consider becoming a sponsor of the Ask Coach Judy Variety Show, because we do variety if you are regular listeners or watchers to our show. And also I want to let you know, this is not a pitch, but just to give you valuable information, is that our sponsors get great benefits. And the other aspect where you, the listening audience, get the benefit is by, if you join and become a listening member, no cost to you, then you're going to have the opportunity to meet our sponsors and our other businesses through this vendor member directory of services, because as we meet the business people and myself, we will then bring in at various times you, the consumer, to meet the resources, the services that you may need. And this way you will have knowledge because you've met them, you've talked to them. So when you need them, you know who they are. But we can't do this for you unless we have our sponsors, we have promoters, we've got advertisers and businesses who just want to be in the directory. So I'm asking you, help us help you by referring them to www.coachjudy.info. Click contact, and I will be back in touch with them within 24 to 48 hours. And also, to anyone who wants our help, I'm going to ask Brian to give out his phone number so that you can reach out to him and speak with him if you are needing his type of help that deals with more of the unconscious mind, rather what is already conscious. So Brian, if you're
I'm an old-fashioned doctor. I'm actually going to give out my. If I had a pen, I would write it down and show.
I have your number going out as well, but I'd like you to also give out your phone number.
My number is 954-864-2206.
And again, one more time.
954-864-2206. That's my cell phone. I only have one phone. I don't even have a landline. You know, they say, what's a landline? I don't know what a landline is, but that's my phone. Can I tell my favorite joke?
That is great. And we're like 4 minutes over the hour already.
Oh, never mind.
Okay.
My father always told me, always keep them wanting more. That's
exactly. And we've got a lot more of information to bring to you from Dr. Greer and many other guests that have been on our show and are coming back, and new guests coming on our show. And I really thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You've been wonderful. You've been such valuable information to our listeners that I know people are going to jump on it. We're going to be pushing the show as well. And if you want to reach me directly and you want to use the phone, you don't have the internet, please feel free to give Coach Judy a call at 561-441-8557, or go to coachjudy.info if you've got the website, the internet, because phone numbers, emails, and all types of great information is available for you, so you could reach out and get the support, the knowledge that you need so you could achieve professional and personal success. And again, thank you, Dr. Greer, for being on the show. I hope you've enjoyed yourself, and I look forward to you coming back, and I look forward to our audience returning and enjoying the dynamic information and guests that we bring to you. Thank you so much.
I'd love to come back. Remember, be here now. Be in the moment and listen.
Be in the moment. Listen, and you will get it. Thank you so much, and have a great week. And again, please check our website. Please Google Coach Judy Romanoff and find all the works that have been done out there, and you'll get a lot of great information. And remember, we care about you. Thank you. Okay. Let me get end. Okay. And